Hello, everyone. As folks continue to join us, thanks so much for being here. You are at the open house for the Outdoor Recreation Economy program at CU Boulder. We are going to get started in just a couple minutes. Okay, as we've still got more folks joining, we are going to go ahead and get started. I am going to start by sharing my screen so that I can share the agenda with you all. Okay, thanks so much to all of you for being here. As I mentioned, this is the open house for the Outdoor Recreation Economy program, which is a fully online graduate program that is administered through CU Boulder. During our time together today, we are first going to hear from the director of the program, Joel Hartter, who is going to share a welcome message about the outdoor recreation economy and why it's an exciting time to get involved. Then we are going to go through and do introductions, not only of ourselves, but also of the prospective students here on the call. I like to let you know in advance that we're going to do that so that you'll be prepared. And we're going to ask you to introduce yourselves with your camera and your microphone if you're willing to do so, or on the chat is fine if you're more comfortable or have technical difficulties with Zoom. Then we are going to talk a little bit more about the curriculum of the Outdoor Recreation Economy program and hear from a faculty panel. And the faculty members on the call we have here with us today, Mark, Natalie, and Autumn, will share with you a little bit more about the coursework and the careers available in the outdoors. Finally, we'll do a little bit of admissions housekeeping about the admissions process and application deadlines, and then we will launch into questions. We are hoping to reserve about half an hour at the end of our session today for questions. So if you have questions that occur to you throughout the presentation, please feel free to either put them in the chat or save them for the last 30 minutes. Either way, that is when we'll get to answering them, but we would love to hear your questions, so please don't hesitate to share them. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Joel.
Hey folks, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to visit with us today. We are enormously excited that you are here and giving us a chance to talk about the program and for you to really kick the tires on the program. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for you to engage with our wonderful faculty and staff, and also for you to get your questions answered. And so, like Catherine said, if you've got questions, write those down and don't miss an opportunity to ask those, the hard questions, the easy questions. We'd love to hear from you. So I wanted to take some time here to talk about why we created what we did. And first of all, I want you to know that this is an absolute passion project of mine. I love what we're doing here. And this is the Outdoor Recreation Economy program is the first program of its kind in the country. So what is the outdoor recreation economy? The outdoor recreation economy is really this confluence or intersection between communities and the economic development that is needed to support outdoor activities so that communities can leverage their outdoor assets, their human capital in order to create outdoor opportunities. It's really about the business and industry that is needed to support the products and the services that provide the opportunity and the manufactured goods that allow the outdoor economy to thrive. And third, it's about the regulatory rules and legislation and the policies that promote and support outdoor access to our public lands and waterways. And here at the University of Colorado, you get the opportunity to really dive into that. So let me take a step back and talk about sort of who I am. My name is Joel Hartter. I am the director of the Outdoor Recreation Economy program. My background briefly is, as I said, this is a passion project of mine. And I think you'll hear this from all of us. We've come from this sort of swervy, curvy professional background. My long-term interest has been in doing things in the outside. And then when I got to college, I thought, oh, really, I really couldn't do this as a career. And I couldn't be, and that really, I don't think was the right thinking. I took a job in engineering, and I kept coming back to what it means to come back to the outdoor industry. And so I started a short-lived tent company, which went absolutely nowhere. And then I became a backcountry ranger for Zion National Park. And I thought, this sealed it. This is what I got to go into. And so that I went back to graduate school and shifting my attention from engineering and thinking about conservation and public lands, and in specifically thinking about what it meant to weave in sustainability and conservation. So I had for the first about 18 years of my career, I really thought about outdoor places in terms of economic development. I thought of, I worked worldwide in conservation and national parks and helping communities outside of them develop economic opportunities. And so I really saw the outdoor industry from that side. And over the last couple of years, we've come back to this place in Colorado where really we're at the confluence of thinking about the outdoor industry, where the outdoor industry supports about 500,000 jobs in the state, seasonal and permanent, where we have communities that are growing faster in destination communities, in outdoor recreation places than in other places. And here in Colorado, it's a great place to be able to start that opportunity. And so we began talking 3 years ago with different organizations and companies and different nonprofits about what it means to really provide the next generation of leaders to the outdoor economy. And viewing this broadly and providing an opportunity and space for everybody who wants to get into this, and not just in the sort of in thinking about the sort of Gore-Tex and down space. It's yes, and it's those different spaces that you might think of the big spaces, say from REI and Patagonia, and it's also opportunities for people who are into shooting sports and for off-roading. Maybe they're into cycling, or they're into beach sports, or they're into other kinds of activities. We are creating that space for you all to be involved in the outdoor economy broadly. And whether those are adventure sports, or whether going outside means going out for the weekend and camping, or having a picnic, or going to your local park, we want you to find a place in the outdoor economy. And so what we've done is be able to create that opportunity for you to come here to see you and really be be at a point where the industry, the economy really needs that change, really needs leadership. And I sort of describe this as, when we think of big issues like climate change. Right now, you may be familiar with what's happening now with COP26 over in Glasgow, Scotland. It's a huge international convention thinking about climate change. We're looking at bringing everybody to bear, and skills and talents and knowledge and background on these big complex issues. And it's not just people who are ecologists or climate change specialists. We're involving everybody. And the same thing needs to happen with the outdoor economy, where we need people who are specializing in business, people who have a background in teaching, people who were engineers, people who have a training in the military. We want everybody to find a place in the outdoor economy because it is needed. It's time it changes. It's time we change the face of the outdoor economy and create a welcoming environment where there is a place for everybody to work within existing industries, and to find a place where you can innovate. Look, if we think about where the outdoor economy is going to go, colleagues of mine at another university did a study, and what they found was that there will be an outdoor economy job for one person in every kindergarten classroom in the country. If you think about how many people that are and what kinds of opportunities there will be, not only now, but think about in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years from now. For me, that's really, really exciting. And so this is the time to dive in. And this is the time to really make the change for the outdoor economy and really pave the way for what it's going to become. So I couldn't be more thrilled that you all are here. I love that we have been able to leverage the place that we have and the skills and talent we have at the university. But wherever you're planning to come from or take classes from, you have an opportunity to get out and be involved in the outdoor economy. And whether that's in mountains, whether it's the coast, whether that's in plains, or whether that's in desert region or other places, cities, it's an opportunity for you really to engage and emerge as leaders. And I couldn't be more thrilled about engaging with and partnering with my wonderful faculty who bring a tremendous wealth of experience, different backgrounds, coming from both industry and coming from the academic sector. I am absolutely excited about what we have to offer. So I'm going to turn it back over to Catherine, and I look forward to engaging with y'all.
Great. Thank you, Joel, very much for that opening message. And will you be around to answer questions throughout the event as well?
Absolutely. Great.
Thank you so much. Okay, next on our agenda is introductions. And as I mentioned before, though I know some folks might be used to being a little bit more passive during these types of Zoom calls, we would really love to hear from you. And we would love to start to get to know you and your interest in the program so that we can kind of help understand what questions you're asking and how we can help get you where you'd like to go. To that end, we are going to do introductions. So we will start with our folks here on the call who are involved in the program, myself and our faculty members, and then I'm going to call on each of you. And I'm going to call on you alphabetically as you are presented in Zoom. So we won't all unmute ourselves and try to introduce ourselves at the same time. But I'd love to have you tell us your name, where you're calling in from. And since we're here discussing the Outdoor Recreation Economy program, we like to toss in, what are your favorite outdoor activities? So my name is Catherine Robinson. It's very great to meet all of you. I am in the enrollment and admissions office for the Outdoor Recreation Economy program, which means questions that you have about how to apply, how to get the most out of the program. I am a resource for you. I'm calling in from Denver, where I moved by way of Florida. So for any folks who are not based in the Colorado Front Range, it is a really beautiful place to live. And we're excited that folks can engage in this program from wherever it is you are calling in from. And then finally, for favorite outdoor activities, winter is approaching, so I will say that my favorite outdoor activity is snowboarding. If summer was approaching, I would tell you that it was hiking and kayaking. I am just always chasing the seasons here in Colorado. Next, I'm gonna call on our faculty members to introduce themselves. And first, how about Natalie?
Perfect. Thank you, Catherine. So my name is Natalie Uwe, and I am the lead faculty for the Community Economic Development in the Outdoor Recreation Economy Certificate. I am calling in from Longmont, Colorado today, by way of Australia originally, as my accent probably gives away. But in terms of favorite outdoor activities, if I follow Catherine's lead, I will say, because winter is coming, yes, skiing then is definitely up there, but backpacking is definitely a passion of mine. So nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Next, let's hear from Autumn.
Hello, thank you for being here. My name is Autumn Bernhardt. I'm the faculty lead for the Public Lands and Natural Resources Policy Certificate. I'm calling in from northern Colorado, actually north of Boulder. And my favorite outdoor activity, it also depends on the season. I used to, back in the day, I used to do quite a bit more fly fishing, and I've been walking along Boulder Creek, which actually runs by the campus. And I've been kind of like spotting all the holes. And I was thinking to myself, I need to get back to that. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Autumn. And finally, on the faculty side, we have Mark.
Hello all, welcome, glad you're here. Look forward to getting to know you a little better. I lead the Sustainability and the Outdoor Recreation Industry Certificate. I am calling in from Boulder, Colorado. So the flat irons you see behind me are actually out my front door window, so I can look at them either way. My favorite outdoor activity, I mean, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, you name it, I do it. I don't do any of them particularly well, although I'm a pretty darn good après skier, if I do say so myself.
Great. Thank you very much, Mark. And finally, we do have an instructor on the call with us today, Cliff. So Cliff is could be one of the instructors that you'll hear from during your time in the program. Cliff, would you mind introducing yourself next?
Well, thank you, Catherine. I wasn't really expecting that, but I appreciate the introduction, and hello, everybody. I'm following Joel's call to action to find a place in the outdoor recreation economy, and as Catherine said, I'm in the process of joining the faculty for the outdoor recreation economy program after a career in community economic development. I'm calling today from Louisville, Colorado, which is a small community just east of Boulder. And my favorite outdoor activities are snowshoeing in the winter and kayaking and hiking in the summer, like Catherine. So thank you, Catherine. I appreciate the intro.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us. And now I'm going to turn over introductions to our prospective students on the call. So when I call on you, please, we would love to have you unmute yourselves and introduce yourself. If you're more comfortable doing it in the chat, that is fine as well. And first, I am going to call on Allison.
Hey everyone, my name is Allison and I'm calling from Lakewood, which is just a few miles west of Denver. My favorite outdoor activities are anything that have to do with water. So in the summer, that's a lot of paddleboarding, kayaking. I'm getting more used to the snow here. So I'd love to try snowshoeing this winter. I've heard it's really fun. So just trying to explore a little bit more in the snow and just see what's out there.
Absolutely. Coming from Florida, I had strong water withdrawals when I arrived in Colorado.
Go through it daily, so I'm trying to figure out how to mitigate that.
Absolutely. That's great. Thank you so much. Next, I have Amy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Mullen. I'm calling from Longmont, where I'm currently an AmeriCorps Vista member. But I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri, so for favorite outdoor activities, skiing is going to be really new to me this winter, but I'm really excited to give it a go. But my favorites are hiking / backpacking and canoeing.
Ooh, canoeing. That's a great twist on a water sport. Thank you so much, Amy. Next, I have Bill. Oh, Bill, I think you're on mute.
I think I did the reverse there. Sorry about that. So my name is Bill Luck. I'm actually in Arvada, Colorado. I grew up in Ohio, just moved from Alaska 10 years ago. So I really like to be outdoors. I was a state trails manager up there. So I'd say my favorite activity is hiking, and I just bought a sailboat last year, so sailing too. Nice to meet you all.
Very nice to meet you too, Bill. Sailing, what a choice. I think you've set the bar for outdoor activities for the rest of our folks on the call.
We'll see if I get good at it first.
That's great. Thanks so much for joining us. Next, I have Courtney.
Hi, everyone. I'm Courtney. I'm calling in from Boulder, and I would say my favorite outdoor activity is definitely hiking with my puppy.
Gotta bring the dog. Absolutely. That's great. Next, I have Jessie.
Hi, my name is Jessie Swanson. I'm calling in from Longmont, Colorado, but I'm originally from Oklahoma. I've lived in Colorado for almost 4 years now, loving it. Favorite activities, hiking and kayaking for sure. I also really love camping. I go as much as I possibly can until it's too cold to go again.
Have we reached that point yet this year?
Honestly, I don't think so. I could go like one more time and be okay, as long as I'm not too high in the mountains. So hopefully I'll get one more trip in.
Yeah, a little bit of foothills camping. That's great.
Yeah.
Love it. Next, I have Kent.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kent Earl, calling in from CU Boulder today, where I work. Favorite activities would be dirt jumping and trail building. Definitely able to do it year round almost here in the Front Range. And then obviously snowboarding season is coming up, so that's right up near the top as well.
Absolutely. Super cool. Thank you so much. Next I have, and please excuse me and correct my pronunciation, I have Novella.
Yes, perfect pronunciation. Hi everyone, I'm Novella. I'm a student at CU Boulder. I'm originally from Colorado, so I grew up hiking, skiing, camping, kind of love all of that. I'm also right there with Mark. I love to have an après-ski setting. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. Thanks so much for joining. Next, I have Sarah.
Hi, everyone. My name's Sarah. I'm calling in from Los Angeles. Originally based, though, out of Cleveland, been in LA working in the TV industry for about 6 years now. I am usually can be found out hiking in the summertime. And then in the wintertime, skiing, doing outdoor photography. Those are usually my go-tos. So, yeah.
That's great. Sarah, thanks so much for joining us. And finally, I have Scott.
Hi, how are you? Scott Dwyer, calling in from New York, and hiking and climbing in the summer. And then the winter, just throw on the snowshoes and keep hiking, but pretty much it.
That's great. Thanks so much to everyone for joining us, and also great to see several familiar faces here on the call today. So next, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about ways to engage with the outdoor recreation economy curriculum. As you'll learn, there are several options for different ways to kind of join this program and progress through it. Once I'm done with this session, we will have the faculty panel. So if you've heard this before or you've done a deep dive into the website, the faculty panel is coming for you, so don't worry. So there are 3 options to engage with the outdoor recreation economy program. You can earn a graduate certificate, which is a 10-credit certificate that centers around a particular topic. And we'll talk about some of the topics that are available during our time here together on the call. You can stack 3 of those 10-credit graduate certificates into a master's degree. So you can choose the 3 certificates that you want to earn that best ladder up into your career goals, and then complete the 3 of them and earn the master's degree. And finally, we do have some folks in the program who just enroll in individual courses. Maybe you're already engaged in the outdoor recreation economy and you just want to add skills in a certain area, or you're looking to advance your career and maybe get a promotion, but they're looking for a background in a certain topic. You can use individual courses to kind of gain those skills and knowledge as well. No matter which of the options you choose to engage with the outdoor recreation economy program, the program will have a fully online format and coursework that is grounded in flexibility. So whether you're just taking one class or taking the full 30-credit master's degree, either way, you will have that flexibility of the online coursework. The coursework is divided into 6 graduate certificates. I am going to touch on each of these briefly, but I won't dive in because the faculty members who lead each of these certificates are here on the call and are going to talk further about it. But I will mention the Introduction to the Outdoor Recreation Economy certificate. This really lays the foundation for the industry. And if you are a casual participant in the industry, or maybe you've spent time focused on one area, this is very, very valuable information because it really helps you to see the full system and the interconnectedness of the industry and how solving problems and addressing challenges in one area can't be done without an understanding of the others. And so this is really lays the foundation for the rest of the coursework that you'll take. And it is a required certificate for the master's degree. So of the 3 certificates that you choose, this will be one of them. The Public Lands and Natural Resources Policy Certificate, Community Economic Development, and the Leading a Sustainable Business certificate will all be discussed by the respective faculty members here on the call today. And then I will also mention the Inclusivity and Leadership and Resiliency Management certificates, which are slated for future launch And those are going to be certificates. Inclusivity is really going to focus on how to lead and how to understand your strengths as a leader while keeping diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice in mind. That's coursework that is woven throughout the entire program. And so this program does kind of have that lens of equity and inclusion, and that's something that you will get in each of the certificates, but there will be much more emphasis on it here. And then resiliency management, which is about adapting to all of the changes in the outdoor industry that have happened and that we know are coming, including natural disasters and global pandemics and all of these things that can really shake up the industry, but especially with a focus on climate change and climate resiliency as well. So those are the areas in which you can earn a certificate or stack 3 of those certificates into a master's degree. Each certificate in the program has the same structure. So the certificates start out with subject courses where you really learn all of the knowledge, skills, case studies, and major information about the topic. And these are asynchronous, which is a term we use in higher education, but what it means is that you can log in and complete your coursework on your schedule. So classes are still hosted within a term. For example, fall 2021, session 1. You would still complete all of the coursework for that class within the term, but you would be able to log in and complete it on your time. And though those classes are asynchronous, there are still opportunities for engagement with the industry, including some real-time live opportunities. For example, our professors bring in guest speakers from across the outdoor industry, and there are also opportunities to interact with faculty and fellow students in real time. Once you have completed the asynchronous coursework, you will complete the project course. And the project course is really your opportunity to apply all of the knowledge and skills that you've learned in the certificate to solve problems in the outdoor industry. So this will be an opportunity to work, and depending on your situation, you might be able to work with your current employer. If you're employed in the outdoor industry, you might be able to choose an organization in your community that has a problem they'd like to solve. Or in some cases, you might be able to work with established partners that our faculty have available to complete your project courses with. Once you choose your base certificate and 2 certificates of your choice, you can stack those, like I've mentioned, into the master's degree. The master's degree can be completed as quickly as 2 years or spaced out over up to 4 years. So that is the timeline for the program. And as I've mentioned, if you don't need to earn a full master's degree or maybe even a graduate certificate and you want to just get started with individual courses, you also have that option. It's important to mention that the curriculum of the Outdoor Recreation Economy program is stackable, which means if you start with maybe just individual courses and then decide you want to earn a graduate certificate and then later even decide you want to earn the master's degree, all of those credits will apply. So you can get started at the level that works for you and still ladder that up into the master's degree, even if you didn't start there without having to retake any classes. We can talk a little bit about careers in the outdoor industry, and our faculty members here on the call will expand on this as well. But there are some major areas that students who complete this type of education can be prepared for careers in. Major one is the outdoor products industry. These are many of the manufacturing and retail organizations that most folks know from the Patagonias and REIs of the world. Recreation services and delivery. This can be things like resorts or destinations. For example, organizations like Vail Resorts. Public lands policy is an area that you can work in, and you can work in this area either embedded within a government organization or with a company who is seeking government relations work in order to help influence the policies that shape our access to public lands and, as a result, outdoor recreation. And then there are also roles in community economic development, which Natalie will expand on. This is an area that really looks to take outdoor recreation and use it as a tool to build sustainable economies, both urban and rural. And of course, within each of these fields, there are leadership and management roles. The outdoor recreation economy is growing rapidly, especially in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic and a renewed interest in getting outdoors. And so there will be more and more roles available in these industries as we continue on. And with that, we have arrived at our faculty panel. So we are going to hear from Natalie, Mark, and Autumn, and each of them are going to answer a couple questions to help you get a better sense of the curriculum and careers in the outdoor recreation economy. So the first question for each of our panelists, tell us about the certificate that you're leading in the outdoor recreation economy program, and what can students expect to learn in your courses? And first, I will call on Autumn.
All right, thanks. So the Public Lands and Natural Resources Certificate, we're going to talk about all the current and salient issues that are affecting public lands as well as natural resources within outdoor recreation. So you need to know like the basic laws, the basic policies, and how that affects folks that recreate every single day. You know, if you're floating on that river, you need to know about the Clean Water Act. If you're hiking in the mountains, you need to know about potentially like air pollution issues and the Clean Air Act. If there's a big issue that someone wants to build a dam or take a dam out, you really need to know about the National Environmental Policy Act. So we're going to study like really policy. When you think about it, is very much you need to know the past, where you are now, and then if you're going to change policy, you need to know where you came from. So it's the past, the present, and the future together, and it's very solution oriented. This is a very solution oriented certificate, even though we study a lot of things where there's a tremendous amount of conflict. How do we overcome that? What are some possible solutions? Or is there a way to mix and match approaches to develop a solution? So that's kind of just a broad overview. There's 5 classes. One is issues in public lands. Another one is environmental justice and stewardship. Another class is called environmental movements, alliances, and legal change. So really, how can you use like the momentum of legal change and collective action to bring about more environmental integrity, more environmental justice, more access to nature, cleaner environment. And then issues in natural resources management, and then a project course that's focused on policy, which is similar amongst all of those. So that's kind of the overview there. I could keep on going, but I don't want to monopolize the time. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Autumn. Next, let's hear from Natalie.
Thanks, Catherine. So community economic development in the outdoor recreation economy, there's a lot of words there. It's a really large focus area that we cover. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with what community economic development is or means, what we're really looking at is, the various different programs, activities, policies that communities can undertake to help increase economic prosperity, but also community quality of life. And a big part of community economic development is also this building of community capacity. So how can investment in the outdoor recreation economy, whatever that looks like, help to uplift communities, help to bring economic opportunities to different places? And how can we also use it as a way to increase equity when we talk about access to the outdoors and diversity within the outdoors as well? And so this certificate, probably more so than some of the others, has a bit more of a flow in terms of, ideal, sequencing of when to take courses. But the first course kind of looks at that foundational piece of what are communities and places and why do they matter? How do we draw distinctions between who is in a community and who is out of community? And why does that matter? And what kind of impact does that have when we talk about recreation and tourism communities? In the second course, we look at different community economic development strategies that different communities can undertake to really build the outdoor recreation economy. And just to quickly touch on some examples that we're seeing to demonstrate, the real wide gamut that we're looking at. We've got communities such as, Grand Junction or Montrose in Colorado that are really looking to invest in attracting outdoor manufacturers and producers to the community to help build an industry base. We've obviously got a wide range of recreation and tourism communities where tourism and recreation are the key economic drivers. And in those instances, we're not necessarily looking about increased, visitation, but really looking at how do we balance the economic benefits that come from tourism and recreation with things like affordable housing, things like overcrowding, things like just funding of maintenance of outdoor recreation amenities. But then you've also got a lot of, rural communities in particular that are economically depressed. The Appalachia region, for example, is a region that's looking at what are some additional industries like outdoor recreation and tourism that we can shift our attention towards to help with a just transition away from coal and energy. And so, those are just a really small handful. But we're also looking at outdoor recreation more broadly to say, okay, what does it mean for urban communities or suburban communities where people don't have easy access to green space or to playgrounds or to the outdoors? How can we look at investing in developing these outdoor recreation amenities, not just for community quality of life and health, but for economic benefits, but even for climate resiliency? Outdoor recreation and parks and open space can play a really important role when we start looking at things like climate change mitigation. How can communities invest in stormwater filtration and flood mitigation and wildfire protection and all these different things, and outdoor recreation has a really key piece to play there. We also have a course looking at community economic development tools. So what are the different tools that communities can invest in to help implement the different strategies that they're looking at? And then the final course is the one that sort of wraps it all together in terms of content, looking at building community capacity. What does it mean to meaningfully engage stakeholders across a wide range of areas so that diversity is represented and that people actually are empowered to influence decision-making? What does it mean to be a community leader? How important and how do you go about the community visioning process so that communities have a direction in which they're heading, and so that investment and strategic choices that they make are going to be well informed, whether that's in the outdoor recreation economy or not? But yeah, like Autumn, I could go on forever, so I'm going to stop there so that Mark has a chance.
Great, thank you. And yes, finally, Mark.
Great, thank you, Catherine. And while Catherine mentioned, the incredible growth within the outdoor recreation economy, with that growth comes the need for sophistication, right? The old days of mom and pop shops where you got into the industry because of your passion has quickly passed us by, and now we're thinking about how do we scale these businesses, how do we compete and win, how do we have a positive impact with our businesses as well. So the sustainability in the outdoor recreation industry certificate really focuses on how do we integrate sophisticated leadership, business acumen, and sustainability into the outdoor recreation economy. There are 4 courses plus the 5th project course as per all the other certificates in no particular order. The first one I'll talk about is strategic leadership in the outdoor recreation economy. Think mission, vision, values, strategy, enlisting your workforce in the greater why, helping them understand how they fit in, helping get your organization aligned, and building the culture necessary to achieve the ultimate goal and potential impact of your business. The second one is circular economy and integration of sustainable practices. How do we build businesses that not only do well financially, but also good for all of the stakeholders that we interact with, our employees, our consumers, our shareholders, our investors, our communities, and the environment. The next course is more of an entrepreneurial bent, building an outdoor recreation enterprise. It's really about business fundamentals, right? Thinking about business planning, thinking about functional areas like sales and HR, thinking about marketing, all the aspects that you need to go through as a general manager, thinking holistically of how do you stand a business up. The final course is the business of outdoor recreation. So now we're really backing up versus zooming in like we just did. We're backing up and we're looking at it more holistically, from supply chain management to large-scale operations, government affairs, permitting, manufacturing, distribution. So the goal here is that when you come out of this certificate, you've got this very hopefully sophisticated understanding of the interworking and the interdependencies of business, sustainability, and leadership, and you're able to make a real and lasting positive difference by leveraging the outdoor recreation economy as both a powerful economic development tool, but also an avenue to help alleviate poverty and protect and preserve wild places and threatened cultures.
Great. Thank you so much to each of you for talking about the coursework in your certificate. And our next question, could you talk a little bit about careers? So tell us about the careers in the outdoor industry that relate to the certificate you're leading, and maybe also address the way this program can be leveraged by folks who are just brand new to joining the industry or want to pivot some existing skills from a previous industry into the outdoors, or those who are already working in the outdoor industry and looking for opportunities to advance. And first, let's go reverse order. So first I will call on Mark.
Yeah, sure. It depends a lot on your experience, your education, your interests. There's so many different ways that you can take this, but I'm going to just, go kind of stream of consciousness and give you a laundry list, and then we can dive deeper based on your interests and questions. There's corporate roles, think, sustainability leadership type roles. There's industry association, like right down the street, the outdoor industry associations here. There's government roles. We've got many states have the state outdoor recreation office, and you can help form policy for the states that they're operating in. There's not-for-profit roles, think Leave No Trace, big city mountaineers. There's entrepreneurial roles. I was talking to a student yesterday that wants to create a nonprofit of getting cancer survivors outside and how that's good for their health and their recovery. Or other students are thinking about things like sustainability consulting firms or even guide services, right? How do you build a business that you want to deliver an experience to your guests? We talked a little bit earlier about retail roles, VF Corporation, Patagonia, roles like that. Final one I'll mention is educational roles, right? There's leadership roles with organizations like Outward Bound or the National Outdoor Leadership School, NOLS. So there's a wide variety. It largely depends on who you are, what's of interest to you, what your passions are, and how you want to apply it. And it also, it depends on, many times we have students that are within industry that want to get an advanced degree to kind of break through that management leadership ceiling, have a bigger holistic view of the industry so that they can then be promoted into higher levels of responsibility. And we also have folks that have been in a different industry but have a skill set that's really valuable. They now overlay this educational understanding with that experience, and then they go into the industry selling both that experience that they're bringing to the table as well as that education and where it comes together.
Great, thank you, Mark. Can always count on Mark for the thorough answer when he goes first, and then other folks have to follow him. Next, continuing with reverse order, let's hear from Natalie.
I was about to say, Mark's list sounds very similar to my list, but which is great because I think it highlights the fact that so many of these areas are so interconnected and really do overlay on one another. Now, as mentioned, community economic development is a really broad area. And so just to reiterate what Mark said, depending on what your interests are in this space and depending on what kind of experience you bring to the table, is going to influence the kinds of opportunities that might be available for you. And so just to kind of run through the sectors, like I said, you'll hear a lot of similarity to what Mark said, but maybe the focus area is a little bit different. And so, if we look at the public sector, obviously there's government roles all the way from the state level, federal level, and even down. But using the state OREC office as an example, one of the key areas of focus is looking at economic development. And so, working within that office, working in government affairs is definitely something that this certificate will help prepare you for. In addition, if we look at it more at the sort of regional and community level, we have community economic development offices, or, these are often titled in many different ways, but, we have small business development centers, you have economic development offices, you have, economic councils. Some of these are public, some of these are private, some of these are a combination of all of the above. But, for communities that are invested in the outdoor recreation economy or are looking towards the outdoor recreation economy as a direction to move in, this certificate can also be really useful for folks in that space. If we look at it from the nonprofit side, big industry associations like OIA, like Mark mentioned, there's a lot of roles there that involve working with local communities and local businesses, matching them together and looking for opportunities to bring economic development. But even at the local level, there's a lot of great local nonprofits doing, what we call community work. They're the ones on the ground that are helping to get rock climbing centers built, or they're the ones that are helping to campaign for it and find the funding for new playgrounds and new outdoor recreation amenities. And a certificate like this really helps in terms of that building community capacity piece and getting a better understanding of how communities are structured, where money comes from, who plays, important roles and different roles within government, within private sector and public sector, and how all these different sectors can collaborate. Moving on to the private space, at the big corporation level, we're seeing a number of companies have community engagement kind of positions, open up where they're wanting to be more influential and be better community leaders and stewards. And so, there is definitely opportunity in the private sector as well to be that liaison between private business and community development. But even smaller businesses, I was thinking about this the other day. If you're an entrepreneur or someone who's looking to develop a business in the outdoor recreation economy space, one of the biggest challenges is understanding, what kind of resources are available to you? Where does the support lie? And so a certificate like this helps you really understand, where are all the funding pots that exist? What are the programs and policies and offices at the federal, state, regional, local level that can assist you in launching your business, whether that's an accelerator, whether that's a grant program, whether that's, connecting you to a microfinancing institution. It just gives you a better lay of the land of how communities operate, they're structured, where the money comes from, where it flows. But yes, a whole range of different careers. It's exciting.
Absolutely, it is. Thank you, Natalie. And finally, Autumn.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys taking it from the lead, because that doesn't leave me much work, and I really appreciate that. So I will just fill in some specifics since you covered it. And particularly just with respect to my own certificate, the Public Lands and Natural Resources Policy. When you're doing policy work, and these folks kind of already mentioned this, but there are opportunities that aren't just in government. You could enter government, you could work for the federal government, right? You could work for EPA, Bureau of Land Management, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, National Park Service, U.S. for the Forest Service, of course. So you have the big federal agencies. You also have state agencies, which every state has some state agency, if only just for hunting and fishing, even if they don't do a lot of outdoor rec in some ways, like climbing, they at least do hunting and fishing. And these are actually great because the state jobs, as well as the county and city jobs, you get to work on some really cool stuff at the ground level, because it's really close. And you're not as kind of locally, or you're not as location tied. Does that make sense? If you can work on the ground, there are so many cities and municipalities that are doing amazing stuff because they want a vibrant but environmentally healthy community. And so they're promoting whitewater, or they're promoting climbing in the area. And so opportunities there, you could work for a tribe. That was actually my experience with respect to outdoor recreation. I worked for a tribe as well as the state government. And then also business. If you're in policy, you can work for business. And a lot of people don't think about that. But you can work on sustainability planning for large businesses that are in the outdoor rec. You can work on environmental compliance, and it's becoming more so even public relations in that sense, right? This is a good company that does good things for the environment. So that's government work, so kind of public work, private work, and then Natalie mentioned this as well in terms of nonprofits. I have a student that's just passionate about water policy, and she's trying to explore jobs with Trout Unlimited, American Whitewater. But there are a lot of opportunities out there, really, if that will reflect your interest. Ducks Unlimited, the Wilderness Society, whatever you're into, there's probably an affinity group. And a lot of those nonprofits actually advocate that their source is sort of, and their interest in the outdoors is recreation related, but they want to do good by the land and by the water. And so they advocate for things, and they enter into things like NEPA cases. So they actually try to either promote policy or change policy. And so they're very much advocacy based. So you'd really have a tremendous amount of opportunities. And I won't add any more because Natalie and Mark did such a good job laying the groundwork. I think that's about all I can add.
That's really great. Thank you again to all three of you for those really thoughtful answers. And we are going to do one last question for our faculty members before we open it up to questions from the prospective students here on the call, at which time you might get many more questions. But final question from me, what's the one thing students should know as they approach the Outdoor Recreation Economy program or as they begin the Outdoor Recreation Economy program? And I will go with Natalie, since I haven't called on you first yet.
Awesome. That helps, going first with this time, because I'm worried the others will still learn. No, I would say my one sort of piece would be you get out what you're going to put in. And I think this is, sort of generally for online graduate learning. We provide a wide range of resources for you to engage in. We, expose you to a wide range of perspectives from different folks across the industry so that you get insight into decisions that are being made sort of here and now on the ground, but it's obviously up to you to engage with them. And so, one of the great things about online learning is that it is so flexible, but it also requires, some pretty good self-management and time management skills. But we're definitely here to assist you and work with you and work around some of the schedules you have, because we recognize that folks have to balance, study, work, and family life, and that can be really challenging. So we get it.
Great. Thank you, Natalie. Next, let's do Autumn.
Yeah, I would echo that. What you put in is really in some ways what you get out. So, I mean, it is self-directed. The good thing about this program, I think, though, in some ways, you get to learn from other students' experiences because it is online. People are sharing their own experiences and interests. And I've seen that in my class. I'm teaching issues in public lands now, where students are sort of like, oh, I didn't know about that collaborative management between like the feds and the state on that in that coastal community. And so you're not just learning from like the readings I provide you. You're also learning from other students who are on the same page as you, who are interested in outdoor recreation and, in my instance, public lands and natural resources policy. And they bring book recommendations and recommendations for jobs and trails. I see in the discussion post, people are like, try this trail. So it is kind of like a pretty vibrant online community, and just be open. I mean, that actually is an asset to an online program. And I guess for me, like the thing I would add to that, in addition to like kind of putting in the effort and you're going to get something back, is, at least in terms of policy, is that when you talk about policy, you're not always talking just about policy. It's very interdisciplinary. I've had to learn a tremendous amount about ag economics in natural resources policy and water policy. I've had to learn scientific terms, even though that was never my formal training. I've had to learn some business concepts and things like that, particularly regulating small communities where they had not a very diverse economy, but I've had to learn and be conversant among disciplines. And so at least when you're coming into policy, you kind of have to be like, this is what I know, and I'm going to keep what I know, but we're going to learn like some new interdisciplinary terms, because you really need to be able to talk across the various professions that are in outdoor recreation, public lands, and natural resources.
Great answer. Thank you, Autumn. And finally, what's the one thing students should know, Mark?
Well, I can't just say one thing, but I'll be quick. One, I kind of alluded to it earlier, build off your experiences, right? The industry needs diverse perspectives. And so don't say, oh, I was that, now I want to be this. How do you leverage what your experiences, your education to date to bring to the industry in addition to this new education that you may be embarking upon? When you're in the program, work on real world projects that are of interest to you and that you're passionate about. So if you can just get clear on that and direct all of your time and energy towards your papers and your assignments and your project work towards that area that you're thinking you want to play in, all of a sudden you can really market that to employers as having real world experience. Invest time in building relationships. It's a relationship based industry. That means your peers, that means your faculty, that means opportunities to leverage your faculty to get introductions to guest lectures and things like that, because those go a long way and they're very, very important in the industry. As Joel pointed out, the career in the industry is oftentimes non-linear. It's not accountant 1, 2, 3, which is a lot easier to wrap your head around, see how you progress, know what you need to do. But I'm just telling you, it's worth it, right? The power of aligning who you are with what you do, where all of a sudden it's a lot less like work, but you show up every day, you're passionate about what you do, you're surrounded by others that are passionate about what they do. It's a lot less like work, and that passion equates to success at the end of the day. So it can be a road less traveled, but I encourage you to pursue it if it's in your heart.
Great. Thank you so much to each of you for those very thoughtful answers. And that is going to conclude our faculty panel. I am going to do just a little bit of housekeeping around the application process, and then we will open it up for questions. And we're approaching the hour, so hopefully folks are able to kind of hang around and get your questions answered. But I will get to Q&A here shortly. So just want to make sure that we provide this information for folks who are wondering. There is still time to apply for the spring 2022 term for the Outdoor Recreation Economy program. The final deadline to begin the master's degree in the spring will be on November 15th. If you would like to get started with a graduate certificate for the spring, you can apply as late as early January. And the classes will begin on January 10th. So that is the upcoming term. We do, of course, accept applications. So this program has start terms in fall, spring, and summer. So summer 22 and fall 22 dates are available there as well, with the respective final deadlines being April and then July. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share so that we can all see each other again. And we are going to take questions. So please feel free to use the raise hand function or unmute yourself in order to ask questions of the faculty. You can also put questions in the chat if you'd prefer. Bill. Oh, let's go Bill first.
Okay, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I certainly appreciate the economic base for all of the curriculum that you guys have. However, the public lands and natural resources policy is more specific to what I'm looking forward to focus on. So to get that certificate, I'm very interested in that, and potentially transferring credits over to CU Denver, where I could, on a broader level, emphasize on getting a master's degree in urban and regional planning. Have you guys had much success within the university system with transferring credits, particularly from these individual certificate programs? I think that's maybe one concern. I just want to make sure that it fits well within these other master's degree programs.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I will address that. So we have lots of students enrolled at the University of Colorado Boulder who take classes with CU Denver, and vice versa. Lots of folks who take classes with us and in these programs. And so certainly that is an opportunity that's available to you. Really what I recommend is really digging into the elective credits and the transfer credits available with that program, the urban planning program, and just confirming, you know, some classes or some programs have, you know, 3 elective classes available, in which case you might not be able to carry all of your credits. Some might have 20 elective credits involved in a more extensive degree, in which case you could carry all of your credits and then some. So yes, certainly we have students who cross over between CU Denver and CU Boulder to complete their coursework. And my recommendation is just to dig into the requirements of that master's degree and make sure that elective and transfer credits can apply.
Yeah, I'll be doing that tomorrow. So good timing here.
Great.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Next, let's go, Allison.
I was wondering if there are any in-person events that you have scheduled. I know it's designed to be all remote, but for those of us who actually like live here and could possibly go up to Boulder, is there anything planned for that?
I'm going to take that one as well. I know folks are here to hear from faculty. But, so there are opportunities for both like remote real time and to a slightly lesser extent in-person engagement. And a lot of those are really just more based on personal connections, like, you know, happy hours and things like that, where it's like, I want to meet with the students who are based in the Front Range with me, and perhaps with faculty and staff as well. Great, we can get something set up for that. We also have pockets of students that are co-located, for example, in Southern California, who may choose to get together with their classmates and peers in remote regions as well that are not directly connected to the university. So certainly there are opportunities. I will say we've structured the program in a way that it's not meant to favor those in the Front Range or to limit each other's opportunities to network and engage. So certainly there, if that's an interest that you have, other folks in the program have that interest too.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, Autumn.
Yeah, that's actually the first time I've ever heard that question, which is a good question because there does seem to be a lot of folks that are in Colorado. Mark and I actually also teach in the MENV program. So I'm the specialization lead for the Environmental and Natural Resources Policy, which is an in-person program for the Masters of Environment program. And we do some functions. So you guys are kind of a corollary, outdoor industry focused, outdoor recreation focused, public lands focused. But we have events like we just went to the law school recently for a water equity conference. And there's, you know, an opportunity, one that was a really great networking opportunity too. They had some tremendous speakers and it was relevant to things like water quality. I don't know if there's a way, but there probably is a way for us to post that, because if you're around, why not? It was a free event to anybody that's associated with CU. So since I'm already doing it for the MENV program, I can more than likely give it to somebody and they can make sure that the student body knows for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Autumn. Mark, yeah, I'll go ahead and have you chime in, and then I'm going to answer Courtney's question in the chat. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, just to quickly reinforce what Autumn said, we do field trips. So we recently went out to in our sustainability in the outdoor industry specialization. We went out to Icelandic skis and talked to them about their manufacturing process, met with their founder, met with a former MENV alum who is their sustainability manager, learned about all aspects of that. We are ringing in the ski season by all going together to watch Warren Miller. So there are lots of things like that where we could begin to include the broader local ORE folks as well. So.
Great. Thank you very much to both of you for chiming in on that one. Courtney, I want to go back to your question about the resiliency management certificate. I wish I had a more specific answer for you, but the honest answer is that we are not exactly sure when that one will launch. We anticipate that the remaining certificates will launch in the next year or two, and I would be happy to follow up with you kind of after this event as we get more clarity around those launch dates. Other questions for our faculty?
Hi, I had a question about, I guess, pivoting. I'm coming from the television industry, creative side. Something I'm interested in transitioning into is focus in the branded marketing and content creation that we're seeing a dramatic spike in across organizations like REI, Patagonia, even Yeti is now producing their own content. And I wanted to see how you would see this fitting with somebody coming from my background, which is also journalism, video production, screenwriting development, content development, specifically within unscripted. So I was hoping to get your perspective on what a trajectory would look like in that area.
I'll take first cut at that. You know, we have a lot of folks like that, Sarah, not with your specific experience, but are doing exactly what you're talking about, right? Trying to leverage that skill in this industry. So I have a woman from Facebook who is looking to do that. I have a woman whose title is fight director. Get this, she helps actors learn to fight on screen, and she's passionate about outdoor theater and how do you use outdoor theater to educate on conservation preservation. So she's combining these things. So, you know, will you deepen your knowledge around your expertise? No, we're not experts like you are. Will you begin to explore and make those relationships about how to bring that into the industry? Absolutely. I think it's a great example.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Autumn.
Yeah, and I'm not certain if this addresses your interest particularly, but you know, like I've noticed this just even in assigning things to my class. Like a lot of companies like Patagonia are creating like video content actually for advocacy for public lands. And so like it's tremendous if you go on YouTube how many like little mini documentaries there are related to Bears Ears or related to Pebble Mine. And those are either being created, for example, by a company like Patagonia that's involved in the advocacy or a nonprofit. And so that type of kind of visual communication really does relate to outdoor recreation. And I know, at least in my personal experience, public lands and natural resources policy. So.
And just to piggyback on that even further, Sarah, I mean, it even extends into communities. I mean, destination branding and marketing is a huge area that, I'll be honest, a lot more tourism and outdoor recreation communities could do more of. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities in that space as well to get a better understanding of what are the assets and what's really unique about different places, and how can I help these communities brand that and market that and put that out there, you know, using the skills and knowledge that you have. And just to further, you know, again, jump off what Autumn said, you know, for example, I just sat on a focus group recently for the National Forest Foundation, where they were reviewing their latest campaign on I think it's the It's All Yours campaign, and taking a better look at it and seeing how they could do it better. And we had some marketing creatives on that call with us to talk about, okay, their ideas, and then, you know, our experience in the outdoors and what we would like to see, that synergy combined. So lots of great opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, I actually just added one thing because Natalie mentioned it. It's right on point. I actually saw something. There's a town on the western slope called Westcliff, Colorado. You might have known about it. Traditionally agricultural community, really dealing with economic development issues like what do you do with agriculture and an outdoor rec. And they got a dark sky designation. I don't know if you have known about that, right? Where you're limiting light pollution, and they really do. You can see the Milky Way and things like that. And they have several videos online to kind of advocate for their community with respect to just stargazing. Awesome. I thought that was a good example.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for your answers on that. Additional questions? Anybody else?
I actually have one more. What's the support like as you're finishing these programs and if you are looking for a new job or something like that? Is that something that's provided through CU Boulder, or is that something specifically the instructors here, the directors of the programs, are looking to help students with?
I mean, I can take the first shot, and I think there's sort of two answers to this. There's the informal, and then there's the formal. I'll address the informal. Maybe Catherine can address the more formal side. But informally, Mark, Autumn, and myself, we're more than happy to connect students with our networks. Obviously, we're relevant to align, different interests or to get you exposure to different folks within the industry. We have a number of students right now in the program who are actively connecting so they can talk to a wide range of different people to get a better sense of what do their careers actually look like beyond the title, and is that somewhere I actually want to go. And so we have that sort of informal advising piece where we can definitely engage with you one-on-one and connect you to relevant people. Formally, we also have like a student advising, like I'm actually the student advisor for the program. For students coming in to help with sort of those general career questions. And I talk to different students, anywhere in that, wherever they're at. So when they're first coming into the program, getting a better sense of, what are your interests to make sure that they're taking the right certificates and the right courses that align. But then also as they move throughout the program, what can they be doing to put themselves in the best position upon graduation in terms of applying for different jobs and engaging with different folks. And then obviously when you get to the end, also helping with making those important connections.
Thank you.
Great. Any other thoughts on that or any other new questions anybody wants to ask? Okay. Oh, go ahead, Bill.
There we go again. I'm figuring it out. Okay, so for the public lands, I'm angled toward this specific certificate, obviously. So the structure that we have, it is structured in a way that if I start in January, I should be able to fairly, if I go along with the routine, complete it by the end of the year next year. It's regimented in a way that you could complete it in one full year. I think that's how they're fashioned, correct?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I can let Autumn chime in if there's any additional insights in terms of the courses themselves. But yeah, so typically the courses are going to be offered. There's going to be a course offered in each term in both session 1 and session 2 in each certificate. And so the more salient point on your completion date is your project course. And so as long as you've kind of taken that coursework as available, and the project course lines up, yeah, you're looking at a timeline of about a year. In some cases, maybe a little bit above that, maybe one additional semester in order to complete all of the requirements.
Okay. Thank you.
So for next semester, we're offering environmental justice and stewardship, which is one of the required courses. Environmental movements, alliances, and legal change is also being offered. And then of course there's offerings, beyond that as well. But next semester, if you take those two, you'll be on your way, if that makes sense, because there's really 5 courses. So you have 2 down. Issues in public lands is going on now, so it's a little too late for that. But that'll come back around next year, meaning next year, meaning that like the fall. I have to look at the schedule and see when exactly that's offered. But yeah, you can jump in real soon.
Okay, great, thanks.
So Bill, just to quickly build on that, and this is relevant, to anyone regardless of the certificate. So one of the challenging things with the timing is, there's 5 courses in each certificate. 4 of them are content courses, and the final course is a project course. So for the topic area certificates like those that Mark, myself, and Autumn run, you need to take all 4 content courses before you can take the project course. And so, a spring start, for example, depending on when that project course is offered, that may require you to get all your 4 courses done first and then the project. So it may require an extra semester on the end, depending on timing. If you start in the fall, typically you'd be able to get it fall, spring, your content done, and then the project done in the summer.
So that's a good point. So if at the fall semester, I still needed to take one course, I couldn't take that project course concurrently with the other course that I need to finish.
No, but in saying that, courses are 7 weeks in duration. So, you know, for example, if that one course that was outstanding was in the first 7 weeks, and then the project was being offered in the second 7 weeks, you still could.
Okay.
I'd have to take a close look at the schedule, but yeah.
That's a really good point. Thank you.
No problems.
Did that jog loose any questions for anybody else? Oh, Allison, was that a hand or an adjustment? Okay. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We will give you a little bit of time in your day back. If anybody does have a question that they were holding on to and maybe wants to ask it in a smaller setting, I will hang back so that folks are welcome to hang back and get any additional questions answered. But if not, thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to review your applications soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.